Hello everyone, and welcome to this in-depth look at the unfolding crisis between the United States, Israel, and Iran. As of today, the 1st of March 2026, the world is watching one of the most dramatic military escalations in recent history. On the 28th of February, a joint American-Israeli operation, called Operation Epic Fury by the US and Operation Roaring Lion by Israel, launched massive airstrikes across Iran. In the opening hours of those strikes, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed. This is not speculation. Both President Donald Trump and Iranian state media have confirmed it. Today, I'll explain exactly why this war erupted, how the United States and Israel carried out the attack, the precise circumstances of Khamenei's death, the confirmations from both sides, what role Britain played, or didn't play, and finally, what could happen next. This is a serious, developing situation with huge global implications. Stay with me for the full story. Let's start at the beginning. Tensions between the United States, Israel, and Iran go back decades, to the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the hostage crisis, support for groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis, and above all, Iran's nuclear program. But the immediate trigger for this war came in late 2025 and early 2026. Negotiations over Iran's nuclear activities completely collapsed. Iran was accelerating its uranium enrichment and developing long-range missiles that could reach Europe and potentially the United States. President Trump made it very clear: Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. That was his red line. Beyond the nuclear threat, there were other major reasons. Iran-backed militias had been attacking American forces and Israeli targets for years. The so-called Axis of Resistance, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, was causing chaos across the region. Trump wanted to dismantle Iran's missile production, destroy its navy, and weaken those proxy networks. Finally, and this is crucial, there was an explicit goal of regime change from within. Trump directly addressed the Iranian people in statements, urging them to rise up and take control of their country. He described this as their greatest chance for freedom. Israel, facing an existential threat from Iran's rhetoric and actions, pushed hard for decisive action. After weeks of lobbying from Israel and Saudi Arabia, the decision was made. So, in short, nuclear prevention, missile destruction, proxy weakening, and encouraging internal collapse, these were the core reasons. Now, let's move to how it actually happened. In the early hours of Saturday, the 28th of February, around 1:15 a.m. Eastern Time, the strikes began. Hundreds of fighter jets, mostly Israeli but with significant American support, hit targets in more than 9 cities across Iran, from Tehran in the north to bases along the southern coast. The Pentagon named it Operation Epic Fury. It involved the largest concentration of American firepower in the region for a generation. Targets included Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps command centers, air defense systems, missile and drone launch sites, military airfields, remnants of nuclear facilities damaged in previous strikes, government ministries, and leadership compounds. The operation was highly precise, using advanced intelligence from American satellites and tracking systems. Hundreds, possibly over 1,000, bombs and missiles were dropped in the first wave alone. Civilian areas were meant to be avoided, but tragically, reports confirm civilian deaths, including over 100 girls at an elementary school near a military site. Iran called these strikes indiscriminate. Trump announced on Truth Social that major combat operations had begun. He warned that the campaign would continue uninterrupted throughout the week, or as long as necessary, to achieve peace in the Middle East. No ground troops were involved. It was an air and missile campaign designed to cripple the regime without full invasion. By Sunday morning, fresh waves of attacks were already hitting Tehran again. The most shocking development was the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader since 1989, and the most powerful figure in the country. He was 86 years old. Khamenei was killed in the opening phase of the strikes, in an Israeli airstrike on his compound or office in Tehran. Israeli officials confirmed he was directly targeted while meeting senior officials.
American intelligence reportedly provided precise location data through sophisticated tracking. The strike was so accurate that it hit during a gathering of high-ranking figures. Family members, including his daughter, grandchild, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law, were also reported killed in related strikes. This was not a random hit. It was a deliberate decapitation strike against the heart of the regime. Khamenei controlled the clerical establishment, the Revolutionary Guard, and final decisions on policy. His death created an immediate leadership vacuum. This single event may prove to be the defining moment of the entire conflict.
Confirmations from Trump and Iranian media. Confirmation came quickly from both sides. President Trump posted on Truth Social early Saturday. He called Khamenei one of the most evil people in history, and said the supreme leader was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems. Working with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders could do. Trump later warned Iran, "If they retaliate further, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before." Hours later, Iranian state television and the official news agency IRNA confirmed the death. They announced Khamenei had been martyred and declared 40 days of national mourning. President Pezeshkian condemned it as a great crime and an open war against Muslims. Iran vowed revenge as its legitimate right and duty. Both sides, Trump in America and the Iranian government, publicly acknowledged the killing within the same day. There was no denial, only mourning on one side and justification on the other. What about Britain? The United Kingdom did not take part in the offensive strikes. Prime Minister Keir Starmer made that very clear. Britain was not involved in launching the attacks. However, British forces in the region played a defensive role. RAF planes and assets helped intercept Iranian missiles and drones aimed at Allied targets. UK bases in places like Bahrain were on high alert and contributed to coordinated regional defense. The British government condemned Iran's actions, supported the goal of preventing a nuclear Iran, and described Khamenei as a figure few will miss due to the regime's record. But offensive military action? None from Britain. It was strictly support for allies and protection of regional interests. What might happen next? Finally, what comes next? This is still day 2 or 3 of the conflict, so the situation is fluid and dangerous. Short term, Iran has already launched retaliatory missile attacks on Israel and US bases in Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Bahrain, and elsewhere. Trump has promised overwhelming response if attacks continue. Strikes on Iran are ongoing. Leadership. A temporary council, President Pezeshkian, the judiciary chief, and others, is in charge. The assembly of experts will eventually choose a new supreme leader, possibly Mojtaba Khamenei, the son, but the Revolutionary Guard could seize more power. Longer-term possibilities. Regime change from within if protests grow, a hardliner takeover, or even civil unrest in the power vacuum. Experts warn airstrikes alone rarely topple governments. Look at past examples. Escalation risks are high. Oil prices spiking. Russia and China backing Iran. Broader regional war. Best case? Renewed talks with a weakened Iran. Worst case? Prolonged conflict or wider instability. The coming days and weeks will tell us which path we take. Thank you for listening to this full breakdown. This is one of the most consequential moments in modern Middle East history. Please stay safe, stay informed, and let's hope for de-escalation soon. If you'd like more updates, let me know in the comments. Take care.